Oh, hello there, outliers. Niiamah here, and thank you so much for letting me be a part of your journey. Well, today we have a special treat because here on the Outliers Edge podcast, we have Kehla G, who's a phenomenal outlier who also knows like the game of playing on your edge. Kayla, it's an absolute pleasure to be in space with you. I'm really excited for this conversation, and thank you for making the time to be here today.
Thank you for inviting me to be here. I think we're gonna have a pretty lit time. Just
Yeah.
saying, it's gonna be so good.
Yeah, like it's funny because as you said it, I was like lit. Oh man, the bar set so high. Like, and then at the same time, I'm like, I could do it. I could do it. No, outliers. You know, just buckle up. I think we're gonna have an amazing time together. Kayla, let's get started here. I'd like to give people a chance to get to know you and give you a chance to speak yourself into the room. So, tell us a bit about the game that you're playing and the mission that you stand for.
Yes, I love this question. So I've been an entrepreneur for about 8 years now. It's my second business. Started out as a personal trainer, moved into mindset coaching, and then got really into business coaching with human design and gene keys. And the game that I'm playing is like, I really love entrepreneurship. I think it's such a privilege to be able to build something from thin air. And it's probably one of the hardest things that people are ever going to choose to do if they choose to do it. And I think that everyone deserves to have their own individual way in how they create their business and how they create their impact. And I just see a lot of entrepreneurs that get stuck in trying to replicate the success of other people that they see, especially in the online space. And I'm really just here to shatter that and to really help people see their individuality through human design and gene keys so that they can bring this nuance into the work that they're doing and fall in love with the process of how they build their business, because that's why we're doing it. Like, this is why we became the outliers, to escape the corporate space and the 9 to 5 that don't light us up. And I'm not shitting on 9 to 5s or corporate spaces, but I'm speaking for the people who feel like an outlier, who like, I'm not employable, like I need to do my own thing. And so I'm really here for people who are on their own path and really want support to move faster and make a harder impact with their work.
Well, the alignment is uncanny. Okay. So here's the thing. I want to jump into this part about like the nuance, right? The nuance of business. But before we get there, there's two things that you say that like sound like I'm familiar with one, the other one I'm not, right? So you're talking about through human design and gene keys, right? Am I getting like
Yes.
capturing that right? All right, cool. So I just want to make sure, like, I don't know if we need to go into give us like a high level overview of it, just to give us some elements of it. We're not going to go dive deeper into it like fully and to unpack it all. I care more about how you bring out the nuance and how we can like capture some of that. But let us know more about human design first, and then let us know a little bit about gene keys, just so we're on the same page with you when you're talking.
Yeah, totally. So human design is a synthesis of a few different systems. We've got astrology, we have the chakra system, we have also the I Ching system, which comes from the Chinese divination text. And then the gene keys uses astrology in the I Ching system. So they're similarities, but different. Human design I use with clients because you use your birth information to look up your chart. When you look up your chart, you're going to see a lot of symbols, numbers, a human body graph, and you're probably going to say WTF because it is overwhelming. I will be transparent,
That's what
but
I
it's
said the first time
amazing,
I got it. I was like, "What
right?
is this?"
I know, because you
Yeah.
can't, you look at it, you're like, I don't know what this means. Like, straight up, I'm just going to say that to people. But I use human design to really help people because there's 5 different types. You have your own strategy, your own authority. There's nuances in terms of how you process the world, how you show up, how you lead. And I feel that that really allows people to step into their leadership in their business as an entrepreneur. So with the gene keys, it's more of a feminine approach. It's more contemplative and curious. So Richard Rudd is the founder of the gene keys, and Ra Uru, who is the founder of human design. They actually worked together at one point before Ra passed away. So the gene keys uses just astrology and the I Ching system. So the I Ching system, there's 74 streams of consciousness. So literally, sorry, 64. So 1 to 64. And each gene key has 3 levels of consciousness. So there's like the shadow, the gift, and the city. So the way that you explore the gene keys is through a very meditative and contemplative experience. So you take one gene key. In the gene keys, there's different spheres that show specific pathways, specific themes that you experience in different areas of your life. The 3 sequences represent 3 major exploration or golden paths that you go through. And so I love to take this and look at the nuances of like how you're designed to be of service in your business, how you're designed to connect with your ideal clients, how you're designed to navigate the main themes of challenges or conflicts that come up for you. So this is a very contemplative approach where instead of just me saying things like, oh, let's shift your mindset or your limiting beliefs around money, it's like, well, actually, let's look at your pearl sequence and see what gene key in this sphere represents for you. And so it really goes into the nuance of the person and their lived experience and their conditioning that they've experienced. And I love these tools because it allows you to take responsibility for yourself rather than constantly being affected by your external environment or your external circumstances. It's really like, what is my experience? How do I see this? What is it like for me? What difference do I want to make? And it's such an incredible self-awareness tool and self-empowerment tool. So that's kind of the high level overview of like what it is and why I use it.
Well, like I'm glad I asked you this because I also got something about you as you were saying, Kayla, which is that like you choose to go down a path of mastery. Like I get that right now because um I learned more about I've taken the human design I've used actually use it in my business and use it in my life to be able to just get more ease and more flow. A lot of times I was like, oh, that's just not for me. Not that I can't do it, but it's like it's not there are easier, more gratifying ways if I lean into if I lean into the design. And part of why we're having this conversation is because I started listening to that, you know. But I do want to call in one of the things I already appreciate about you is what I would call like your dedication to mastery in it. It doesn't seem like just a thing you found online one day. You had an experience with it. You're like, I'm gonna go out and do this for other people. You've taken the time to become an apprentice of these forms and to take these things that they seem more esoteric and find ways to bring it into a practical way, which is like even that word nuance, I think really like live strong, where it's like what people say makes sense, but if you're not able to get the nuance of how this applies to you specifically, then you're going to miss it. And so I really want to just call that in right away. I left I left leaving that experience with a sense of trust towards you. I'm like, oh, I can trust her towards this. Like it's like she's doing the work, and she legitimately wants to be excellent at it, rather than it's just a thing I found and now I'm doing it. So I want to call that in. And that was just in like the 30 seconds just now of you sharing that.
Wow, thank you for like deeply seeing me in that. And I really appreciate it because this is something that I'm so passionate about. Like this is my life's work. I can see myself talking about this for the rest of my life. And I'm so grateful. And it's amazing to be able to come and have conversations with someone such as yourself who values the nuance, like what it means to be an outlier, what it means to be to create, to co-create, to have connection with people.
Yeah, no, I think it's really important because you know one of the things that's important to me for me when it comes to outliers is like for us to be able to own our outlier, right? To own like this is who I am. This is what I like. I believe this is what I'm passionate about, and not just take it up to like a level of curiosity or maybe even acceptance, but like you like what I feel with you. You're like this is it. Like I'm great at this. I know what it's about. I've researched it and like I apply it on a regular basis, and that's where I think the trust comes. I'm like, oh, you own this. You know, like if you, it could be you doing smoke signals and teaching me that, you know, like it doesn't really matter because I'm like whatever it is, you've taken the time to go down the path of mastery and learn how to take this thing and make it practical for real people in real life, you know. And so I would want to call that in, and I think there's a lot of outliers out there that have their thing. Maybe it's knit in a certain way. They like, you know, like there's something about them that they have that they can bring to the table. But I don't think that like everyone has taken the time to own it. So outliers, I really want to shine that light on it. Like if you're tiptoeing, if you're like apologizing for, if you're just like knowing just enough to be dangerous, but not enough to be masterful, like it makes a difference. Like we get a chance to like I believe you. I've always believed in you, but I believe you so hard, you know, Kayla. So I just want to put that out there. Any thoughts you have on there? Because I know you also help people like step on, like walk through their edges, walk through the nuances of things. And I'm curious about like some of the distinctions that you've seen when it comes to like actually owning what you do versus like doing it.
Yes, I think honestly, one of the things is when I first start working with clients, I get them to go really deep into their human design and their gene keys. And it's like, I'm getting you to do this because what's really going to happen is that this is a cosmic mirror that's going to show you that you actually already have everything that you need. And it happens every time. Like I literally just wrapped up with a private client yesterday and she's like, yeah, Kayla, like I finally realized like I have everything that I need and everything I'm already doing. I was like, I know. I said, I told her the biggest thing for you is like your confidence and just claiming that. It's like you have 10 years of experience and sure, you haven't hit certain financial goals, but that doesn't mean you don't know what you're talking about. Like you're doing X, Y, and Z. Like it's like literally just being a mirror, not even trying to just like gas someone up so they feel better about themselves, but it's like giving them the evidence. Like here's the internal evidence inside you that's been here since birth based on this astrological perspective of human design and gene keys. And it's your job to take that, own it, be loud with it, build something with it. I can't do that for you. That's what it looks like to claim it. Like, when are you going to decide that it's enough? Like, that's really what it's going to come down to. And I think that that's the ownership piece, is that you have to decide that who you are and what you have right now is enough to at least help somebody 10% of the way. If not, there's a quote that I saw recently and I really hope I don't butcher it, but I feel like I need to say it because it just landed. And it's like, I just because I only know 10% of something doesn't mean that I can't be 100% of service. And I think that's really huge. I think that's really important, is that we don't have to know everything to be of service. And when you can already look at yourself in the mirror and decide I'm enough, and you can be of service with 100% of that, that's when you're really going to make that impact that you dream of making, that you can make. And that's what it means to go like be on the edge, in my opinion.
All right, so now let's play it here, right? Because because of that level of ownership, I hear you. It almost feels as though like Kayla was born like owning, like Kayla was born like And you talked earlier about like making a decision. You have to decide here. So take us to the point where you decided, like yeah, bring us to your ownership point. Like, what was going on in your world? How did you get to this place here? Because that's where outliers are when they're listening to this. And it's not that
Oh yeah.
like they're starting at zero. It's just like a lot of us are like looking at that next level and be like, well, I've already gotten six figures or more in my business here, but I've done it like through striving or through grit, and like I just want this like this ease that can come with like human design and gene keys and the confidence and all that stuff that comes with it. So can you just take us to like one of your ownership moments and an inflection point there, and help us see like I see
Oh
who
yeah.
you are now, but like help us see how this came to be.
Oh yeah. So last year in May of 2023, I hit a wall. I'm going to be so transparent. Like people are going to be like, what the heck? So
Thank you.
I hit a wall financially where I had about, at the time, like 30 grand of debt. I'm in my business and I was like, I'm with my fiance and I'm just like, okay, I need to figure this out. Like, this is my responsibility. This is my business. And I was being hyper independent about it. And I wasn't being honest with him. Like, cause I was taking responsibility, thought I was taking responsibility. And one day we got into a conversation, and funnily enough, it like slipped. And I said the specific number of what I had because I was so stressed about it. And it was a massive breakdown in our relationship, because I realized the level of inauthenticity, the lack of trust, like my selfishness, like trying to look good, not wanting to look bad. And we got into this really significant conversation. And we're in the kitchen. Like, I'll never forget this. We're in the kitchen, we're talking, and I'm crying. And he's looking at me, and I was like, you know what? I think that the reason why I've been unable to let you help me with my finances and what I'm doing in my business is because I have this story, literally childhood wounding, of not having a father figure who was present, who I could not rely on financially. Like, I was taught from a young age unconsciously to be hyper independent, be a high achieving woman. Like, I've been an elite athlete, like rugby athlete for 20 years. Like, there's so much there. It makes so much sense. And he just looked at me and he's like, Kayla, I'm not your dad. And I was like, what? Like, it was just like my unconscious brain melted. And so after that, what it looked like to take responsibility is like I stopped just doing the quote energetic work. I'm going to be an energetic match and pay off my debt. It's like, no, Kayla, budget sheet, have conversations about consolidating your debt. Actually look at, what does it mean to shift your strategy in business? Like, yeah, you're going to have to do things you don't want to do. Like, stop being a pansy and just thinking that you're going to, manifest your way there. It's not going to happen. And so I went through this storm for about 6 months, was so close to consolidating my debt, simultaneously still showing up in my business, was working closely with a friend who was helping me with business strategy. I created a signature program through the work that I do, human design, gene keys, right? And I launched this in October, November, and hit like over 5 figures that month. And I thought, holy fuck, like I'm not consolidating my debt. Like, it's not, I don't care how long it takes me. At that point, I had like 40 grand to pay off. I was like, I don't care. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to continue to show up, continue to sell. And this curriculum, this program that I've created, so it's been almost a year now, has hit almost 6 figures in sales. And I'm just like, this is ridiculous. Like, hit such a hard wall, and I realized how hard I was making it on myself to try and do this alone, and I had to hit that wall. And now it's like my fiance and I, we don't fight about money. Like I'm not even kidding. Like I can just be honest and talk about it, and it's like, this is my entrepreneurial journey. Like I'm taking responsibility, I'm moving forward. And it was like, it was looking at my human design. Where's my brilliance? How can I create something that's scalable from this nuanced lens? With my gene keys, we talked a little bit about prosperity, and it's like I looked at my gene keys after I had this breakdown, and I was like, what are my patterns? Where are these triggers showing up? What are the shadows? What is this teaching me? What am I forcing? And then I went and changed my behavior, and I took responsibility for it. So again, this is moving back to the earlier part of our conversation where I really do this work. Like I take it so seriously and I love it so deeply. And so that was like a really huge moment for me. And it's like, I'm not the same person I was last year in May. Like that was such a breaking point. It was so ugly. Like we're talking snot crying at 3 o'clock in the morning, like staring at the ceiling in the dark, like multiple times. Like it was not good. And now I'm just like, fuck it. Like I own that. I own the fact that I dug myself into that hole, and I'm going to be the reason, I am the reason why I'm getting out of it.
Hey, Kayla, I appreciate you. There's a lot in what you just shared that is really real for me as well. You know, I've been there. I've had those conversations. I'm just thinking. I'm thinking outliers out here who have also put themselves in positions to say, "Hey, I trust myself to get things done. I will take responsibility." I hear that being something that comes up consistently from you. So taking responsibility, taking ownership for you, but also being like, well, if I'm looking at the truth of the matter is I am responsible for a large sum of debt. I'm responsible for the way that I'm making my choices and how do I move myself through. And so I want to stay a little bit in that place if you're good with it, since you're so like gracious and bringing us into that part of your world, because I think there's outliers out there that are listening to this and are like they're in the same place and they're like, I want to get to the end, like I want to get to the end, but I know right now I'm still in the May. It's 3 o'clock and either there's not coming down my nose or like I am like tossing and turning in bed because I know that I should just like fall asleep so I can do what I need to get done. But at the same time, like my brain will not stop yelling at me for where I'm at. So would you mind if we spend just a little bit of time in that space here and then continue on from there? All right. So I want to get into, I love the word nuance because I think for me, I think it's everything, especially when you're playing at the top of your game. It's these small distinctions. Elite rugby player. I love rugby, by the way. So like that's fun. We'll have to talk about that sometime. Um, so you know about the nuances there. And so I'm going to go back. I'll just kind of say like the before time was like May 2023, and then now we're here. At that time, you knew, I'm assuming, about human design and gene keys. Like what was let's start on that element, then we'll get a little bit into like some of the practical things as well, like how you turn it. But like what shifted for you to be able to say like to take it from whatever knowledge or understanding you had about yourself at that point that like then got you to this place where you're like, oh wait, hold on, this is how it actually can be like implemented. You knew it, but then it seems like you got to a whole new level of understanding and application from there. Let me know. I might be making this up here, but I'm assuming that was the case.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, so the reason why May was such a critical time for me was before that, I had decided to go to Bali for like 5 weeks. I was traveling in Asia for like 6 weeks in March of last year. And what happened was before that, like we're talking late December 2022, moving into 2023, I was like, I want to go to Bali. Like, I just feel like I should go there and I want to spend time there and travel in Asia for a month. And so I was just making decisions from this place of, oh, it's all going to work out. Like there was this level of recklessness, even though I was just living my life and I don't regret any decisions I made, but I was still very much in the energetics, like just, oh, I'm just going to manifest it and I'm going to launch this thing while I'm in Bali and I'll be in good energy and people will buy and it'll pay for itself. And that's it. That's not what happened. I had an incredible time. It was great, but like I came back and it was, I was gone for like 6 weeks. It was like a $10,000 experience. And it's not like I was living bougie at all, but that's what happens when you travel. So I came back and I was like, okay, this didn't go as I planned. And it was like things were getting really maxed out. And I'm like, this isn't working. Like, I'm really just trying to live my life and things will work out and it's not working. Why isn't it working? And it's because there was a lack of structure. So it's kind of like I was so in the feminine of like, oh, it's all going to work out. And there was that lack of structure of like, Kayla, can you actually look at your behavior? Like there's a science behind spending and living within your means and still having a beautiful life. It doesn't mean that you have to be in scarcity all the time. And so when I was looking at, I was so in the energetics of like, oh, I'm just going to do what lights me up. I'm a 6-2 sacral generator, right? Satisfaction. What would satisfy me? Just doing that without even considering the consequences. Where instead, when I talked about creating this signature program that I have that I've scaled, that's really me looking at, okay, Kayla, you're a 6-2 sacral generator. You have a defined G center and sacral. These centers are about structure, they're about leadership, they're about identity, they're about building things, being creative. These are your zones of genius. What are you going to build with this? And it's kind of hilarious. The program that I have, the mastermind that I have now, is specifically around helping women create their signature program through the lens of their human design and gene key. So I was like initiated through my own bullshit to create the thing that I'm selling now, which is so beautiful. So it needed to happen the way that it did. But I think I really had to look at my behavior and think, Kayla, you're acting like it's all going to work out, but you're not actually taking responsibility for your behavior, and you're not fully acknowledging the consequences of taking massive risks and being impatient. Like you need to dial it back in. That's when I had the conversations with my fiance. That's when I had numerous conversations around consolidating my debt, seriously considering the impact of I was applying for 9 to 5s. Like I was literally shifted myself and my business so hard. Didn't get a 9 to 5, obviously, because I wasn't even able to be hired. Like no one reached out to me. I was like, oh my God, I just have to keep going. But I kept going while shifting my behavior. And it took about 6 months for things to shift. So it was just this, I was too much in the feminine and I needed the masculine structure, because ironically, the masculine structure is what supports the feminine. So now it's like, I feel like I have this structure in my business, like marketing, sales, like how to launch. Like I know all these things, I'm refining all these things, but then I have the nuance of the feminine aspect of the human design and the gene keys to make it work for me. So that's really what happened in that specific situation. Was like a massive turnkey when I went to Bali and came back and just got like hit in the face with everything.
I appreciate it. Like, 'cause like it's really uncanny. There's a lot of similarities that you and I that I've already identified, but right around that same time in like December 2022 to early 2023, I was having something very similar take place for me. We had found out that we were going to have our second child. She was going to be born in March of 2023, and I had looked at my business and I was like I had been known for like being able to tap into my feminine energy. Like nowadays it doesn't come out as strongly because of some of the shifts that have taken out. But like I've been known for that. Like I even talk like I love bringing people together. It's there's something there's elements of it. And when my daughter was coming, I was like, wait a minute, I'm going way too much feast famine. There's I don't really know where my next client's coming from, and it's like, but it happens. It's always come, but it always but it happens, and um, that was I went through my own journey to get back into like I used to do like math and like actuarial science and such. So I started like I'm like I didn't look at any of the things that were like involved in like what a business needs, you know. Instead, I was looking at it more like I'm charismatic, it will happen. It's like just the right place, right time. Maybe even find the right if I maybe it's a master class. Oh no, that wasn't it. Maybe it's a workshop. No, that wasn't it. And I was just like I kept throwing like random darts, thinking that one of those things were going to be the right thing and until I like actually was able to slow down and start to say like how do I actually build the structure that comes along with this, you know. So I'm really glad that we're talking about it because I personally have not shared too much about that in this context here, but as you're saying it, I'm like I'll describe it as I want to know about the inner and the outer. We have to do both the inner and the outer. What you're describing the feminine, I would consider like, all right, I was looking like I was just doing inner work, you know, and it's feeling
Yes.
like once my inner work is done, everything like it's all gonna come, you know. I'm not even gonna focus on the money because it will be here. And then it didn't show up, and then it kept not showing, and then I started freaking, and then I went
It's so
hyper
true.
structure. I was like everything structured, like how much is this gonna be in, like so on and so forth, and then being able to bring that nuance back in. What you got, Kayla? What's going on through you as I say this?
Oh, I'm just laughing. The way that you're like, oh, I'm just gonna do all the inner work and the money's gonna come. Like it's just this, there's like this level of naivety in that. And I did that.
Well,
I was like
I
that.
think we're sold it. I honestly do think we are sold it. And you know, it's not like I think there's a lot of value in it. Like clearly you've done inner work. Like I can feel your presence. Like I can like it's there. Um, but it's one of the reasons I think I really appreciate you in this conversation because you're like, and then what? You know, like it's not the only thing. It's like, and then what?
Yeah, no, it's so true. Actually, one of the things that really hits me, and I think this is the nuance, right? Let's just be real for a second. There's coaches in the online space who are seven-figure, multi-eight-figure selling manifestation courses because they're living the lifestyle of being a millionaire. And my question is, how many of those people have done those courses and then two also became millionaires? It's just the reality is like there's nuance, there's privilege, there's the structural piece that's missing. Like you can't just feel good or act as if like there's so much more that comes into it. And I think that I didn't realize it took me so long to realize that because I had bought so hard into the energetics and the inner work that you need that balance. Like the balance is so needed. And I think I really when I got to the point of I can't say I'm doing all this inner work and I'm showing up and I'm doing the thing and I can't say what's working or what's not working in my business, then I'm just working on luck. Like
Yeah.
there's no structure. There's no way to say if I do this launch this way, here's my messaging. X amount of people are coming into the masterclass. Here's how I convert X amount of clients. Like there is this masculine strategic structure you need to have for a business. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It's like your human body is so structured. Why do you think it lives for decades? There's a specific way that we breathe, there's a specific way that we digest our food. Now, granted, most of that happens unconsciously, but the structure is still there. And if we don't take care of our body, those things are going to fail us. So it's everywhere. It's not just business. It's literally our human body. It's life. It's seasons with the flowers and the trees and the birds and the bees, all of that.
Yeah, I like if you're good with it, I'd like to stay on it for just a little bit longer because I see this happen with my clients, and I feel like you probably run into this as well. Like that bridge between let's talk. We'll use it in this case here, like the feminine to masculine, or bring it in more structure behind it. Like I'm curious for you how you kind of embodied it. How like when I experience you, I'm not like super masculine, you know what I mean? But at the same time, like so I'm curious about that because I think about I know my process was like screw it. I don't even know if I want to be a coach anymore. Like I like get like how did I not know about cost to acquire a customer and lifetime like value? Like why was I not doing any of this stuff? I know nothing. You know, I went straight into all structure, and then eventually I was like, okay, I got the structure down finally. Now let me come and bring like heart in. I'm curious for you if anyone's listening to this and they're like, dude, these two are having a conversation I'm afraid to have right now. Um, I'm curious about like just that blending. It might go back to the human design, it might go back to the gene keys, but like I experience you as still one that is very, very like whole and complete and not over index on any of them. So is there anything you want to say to that?
Yeah, I think that, yeah, there's a couple pieces. So the word confidence just dropped into my head. And one thing I notice is, let's say, for example, my clients work with me and they go through my program. The beginning is to get very deep into human design and the G keys. What happens is they tend to get really hooked on that. They're like, but I still think I need to learn more about this before I can go and start creating my signature program. I'm like, no, you don't. Just take a little bit. It's just there to validate you. It's like a little appetizer. Take a little bit and then you're going to go and start looking at, okay, who's my ideal client? Where are they at? Where are they going to end up? What are the modalities and the experience that I have? What is my energy? How do I support them through that? Start building it. You can still contemplate your human design and gene keys as you do that. So I think people, what happens is when they get into the inner work and the meditating and the journaling and all of that, there's this specific dopamine hit because it's busy work. It's like, oh, I spent 50 minutes meditating today on Insight Timer, and it's my 100th day in a row. And I just wrote 4 pages in my journal, and I've done all this inner work, and you feel good about yourself, which is awesome. But then if you actually look logistically, well, like I tell my clients, selling is important. But I said, people get weird about selling, and it's like, you're actually is selling, but what you're doing is you're giving opportunities. So if you ask yourself, instead of saying, did I sell in my emails or my stories, be like, did you give an opportunity to your people today? And then all of a sudden you look and you're like, fuck, I spent 3 hours meditating and journaling and reading about human design, but I didn't actually put an opportunity out in my emails or my stories. And it's like, yeah, like that's the masculine part of like the doing and the feminine part. And I think when I talk about confidence is it is that decision of like, okay, this is who I am, and I'm going to take the next step without having all the pieces. And I think that's what people want is because there's such a fear of failure and you think, oh my God, you fall flat on your face. And then of course you look back hindsight 2020 and you think, well, if I had just brought that with me, but like the thing is you have to get over it. Like, yeah, you're going to fuck up. You're going to fall on your face. Took me like years to hit certain prestigious milestones in the coaching world. And I don't care because it's my story. And that's why people come to me now. And it's like coming back to the ownership piece that we talked about 20 minutes ago. It's all interconnected. As much as we try to segregate it, like you have to find your balance. And there's different seasons that we go through as well. So I feel like it's not noticing when you're getting too caught up. Like if being a business owner, if you're getting so caught up in the inner work and you look at, did I sell? Did I create an opportunity today? Did I move the needle forward in my strategy in my business? Or was I just busy working on myself? Because then your business isn't about your people, it's about you.
I love this framing of the of opportunity. I was literally given a proposal yesterday, and I was like, "Look, if you get to this point, like this is my gift to you. And it's like just how I know. Like I've never framed it as the opportunity, but in my mind, when you say it, I'm like, yeah, I completely like have my way of being like, yeah, I'm in complete alignment with you on that there. It's a different way of looking at it, but it like I also hear with you when you ask these questions about the responsibility that's there. Have I given them an opportunity? Like as a leader, did I give them an opportunity to go further in their journey? Did I give them an opportunity to like grow, to get past the pains that I've been calling out, so on and so forth? And I hear that with you in a sense of like it is part of my duty and part of what I do as a leader to give them the opportunity to come in and work past this and to grow past these kinds of problems. Let me not put words in your mouth, but like I would let you know that is a sensation that I get when you say that.
That's awesome. And I think that's it. When I told my clients, I said, sure, you might feel weird about selling, but if you look at it from the perspective of the opportunity, it's like you're giving somebody a flower. Like you have a bouquet, you have everything, all your wisdom, your courses, your programs, your services, and how many flowers did you give away? You're just standing there holding the bouquet again because I don't know, you want to smell your own flowers. Like give them away. You have to give them away. Like
Outliers, are you out there smelling your own flowers? Go out there and give it away. Like I personally really love that as a way of looking at it. Like and outliers, like when I talk to you, I actually am talking to you. Like really, are you just sitting there smelling your own flowers? Have you've collected all your experiences, especially the thing about outliers, like we're multi-talented, multi-passionate, like we see the world in our own way. We have all these experiences. We talk about the wisdom of those flowers. Like I feel like they have like a whole greenhouse on the truck they're carrying around, and I love this component of like, are you giving that away? Are you finding ways for people to exchange with you and to grow so that you can put in more seeds and so on and so forth? Uh, I'm gonna lean into metaphors. That's where I
yes.
go.
Oh, I know.
I like to
Yeah.
lean into it and see things from there. So Kayla, this is really exciting. I know that you work with people on their edge as well. Like where there's a lot of alignment in here. Um, let's do this here. I want to give you some space to just talk a little bit about your program itself. I don't always do that here, but I think that the conversation we're having warrants it. And so if you're good with it, speak a bit to the program you have, some of the people that are in there, some of the results that they've gotten here. We've gotten a chance to see you and how you've like what it took for you to actually create this, and that's what I want Outliers to see. And on the other side of it, I also want to be able to say like, hey, what like this is what it looks like when you start to look into your own nuance, like and such. So tell us a little bit about that program.
Yeah, so funnily enough, it's my mastermind called the Edge Mastermind, right? So coming back to like the connections that we have around Outliers Edge. So in the Edge Mastermind, I work with clients over 6 months, and it really is about coming in and refining. Like it's a lot of women who come in and they're like, shit has not worked for me. I've done X, Y, and Z. I'm not clear. Like they're just lost in the sauce of the noise in the industry of how they think they should be doing things. And I'm like, perfect, come in here. Let's look at your genius. Human design gene keys. This is your brilliance. Validate yourself. Okay, now here we go. Let's build the structure. What is your signature program? How are you going to show up and speak to your ideal clients? How are you going to collaborate, get off of social media so you're not a slave to the algorithm to do podcast guesting, collaborations, get seen, get visible? How are you going to sell, create opportunities, give your fucking flowers away? Like it really is a journey and a process. And I love it so much because these women are so keen on human design and gene keys. Like we'll often bring this up, if somebody is really experiencing a lot of turbulence or like, oh my God, things are so up and down. It's like, hey, that's the 36 gene key. The shadow is turbulence. And then we looked at the gift of humanity and it's like, hey, you're experiencing this turbulent time and launching this offer right now. Like, where's the humanness in this? It's totally normal. You really give a fuck about what it is that you're delivering. And the highest expression of that is compassion. How can you have compassion for yourself as you navigate launching this offer? So it's like bringing in the nuance of the gene keys and like what we're experiencing and being able to talk about it from that lens rather than, okay, you have a limiting belief around people signing up for your program. Let's reframe that because it just lacks depth. And I really care about going into depth with people. And what I love is that these women are in here, they're here to make a difference with their clients. And the conversation is around, well, what is this going to look like for you? This is what I did. I know you're human design. This is what it could look like for you. And it's just being able to shift that and make it specific to them. These women feel seen, they trust themselves more. And I really want them to feel independent. If somebody stays with me for the rest of their life, I want to make sure they're still hitting their goals. It's not just about me being, on a pedestal. I'm not here for that. Like I'm here to be shoulder to shoulder with the people that I work with. And so this is really my high level space, like high touch. Like we're here to have really big conversations. We're here to this is one of the big lines that I say, like, I'm not here to fuck around and find out. Like we're here to figure it out and get it done. Like that's like a really big belief that I have. It's like one of my
Nice.
signature lines that I say all the time.
So outliers, you're hearing Kayla right here, right? And I'm gonna say like if there's something in there with you, like go spend time in Kayla's world, right? Clearly like you yeah, you have ownership. Like you're not messing around with this stuff. You're not, and for that I appreciate, and I want to make sure I'm elevating you appropriately through that. Let's see here. Talking about giving away flowers, outliers, like this conversation has been one that it's been really refreshing. And Kayla, I'll tell you why in just a bit. But for any of you outliers that are listening to this and thinking, one of the flowers I have is this episode itself, right? Like let me go share it. Let me make sure that like there's someone in my life who like would also benefit from like this conversation that Niiamah and Kayla were having. Please think about that one person and send them this episode. Right. You don't need to go on social. You can. You don't need to go send it to your email list. You can. But like in my mind, I'm like, if there's one person out there that like you feel would really benefit from this conversation, my ask is that you share it with them and essentially start that as one of the flower giving processes that you have. You have a whole greenhouse, so don't think that you're done afterwards. We're like get that moving. Um, Kayla, I want to let you know about the impact the conversation has had on me, and then I'm going to ask you for the insight or impact it's had on you, and then how people can stay in touch with you. You good with that?
Beautiful.
All right, cool. So the impact this conversation's had on me is um, one, I just like I feel my nervous system being like, all right, Niiamah, you're good. And what that means here is like it's like the journey you were talking about is the journey that I felt like I've been on, and to the point where I'm like, is coaching even like, is it worth it? Because I was doing all the inner work, and I was like, but I'm not getting the results, and I find myself now very much playing on both. I'm like, I don't want to go the other way either, like with only like results only, like heart and head and hands, and let's bring it all together. Um, but I could feel myself in this conversation being like, she gets it, which means that there's something to be gotten, and it's the same thing that I thought I was getting. So, like in many different ways, I'm like, cool, we're cool. But it does. I actually see like some of the doubts that I have and some of the questions that I ask myself along the way disappearing and just being like, just keep doing the work here and keep doing it. You do it your way, because it's not. It's my nuance to something that is true. All right. So thank you for joining me and sharing your truth because I'm like, oh yeah, all right, cool. Like I'm not off on this. So that's one. I would love to hear from you. What's an insight that you got from this conversation? What's something that you're taking away from here? And the answer could be I got no insight, and that's fine too. But like, go ahead and share with us that, and then let us know how we can continue down in your world.
Yeah, I want to say thank you for this conversation. This has been so illuminating for me. I think you're an incredible interviewer. The questions that you ask, the way you pull me deeper into specific things, like you created such a safe space for me to share my story. And I felt like it was so collaborative. Like we're speaking to the outliers in this conversation. I really think too, the bouquet of flowers, like give your fucking flowers away. That the way that just naturally came up, and you just taking it farther, like you've got a whole ass greenhouse, like you've got fields. you've got different seasons of flowers. What are you going to do about it? Like, I think that for me, I think that that metaphor is going to stick with me. I think that's a special bond between the two of us because of how that just naturally came up. It was just so good. And I'm just really grateful to be in this conversation. And I can really feel in your heart how much you give a fuck about getting people connected and really having people be on stage and connecting and like the panelist conversations. I'm really looking forward to that and just coming into your world and really understanding like the depth of service that you want to provide. And it's just so refreshing because I've really left some heavy conversations around making a lot of money, and it's talking a lot about money and like, yeah, I want to be somebody who has incredible wealth, but I also really care about the people. And I really do believe that you can put people first. You don't have to be loud about money and you can still make an impact that way. And I really feel that we have that connection and that belief, even if we didn't specifically say it. I can hear in the way that you're sharing and just the way that you took the time to acknowledge me after every time I shared something. I felt really seen and really heard. And I can tell that that's a superpower that you have for people. And I think that that's really beautiful. So that's my insight. Thank you.
I'm going to receive that here. Thank you. While I'm receiving it, why don't you let outliers know a bit about how they can continue down with you?
Totally. So I want to invite everyone, check out my podcast channel. It's called Living in Fierce Alignment. Absolutely. We're going to be having an interview on there as well. You can find me on Instagram at Kehla G. I'm not going to spell these out just because I know you can get it in the show notes. And yeah, my website, kehlag.com. I'm mostly on Instagram, but coming on there, connect with me, shoot me a DM if you really enjoyed this conversation. If you share this, tag me. Like, I just want to celebrate you and support you on your journey because I feel like I felt isolated a lot of the times. And when I found my human design and gene keys and really brought this forth, it gave me the freedom. And I just want to bring that to others. So I'm really excited to connect with fellow outliers and to continue this conversation. So thank you so much for having me on here.
Most definitely. Kayla, thank you for taking time. And Alex, I'm going to spell it just in case, like, if you're an audio person like me and just like want to just keep running, Kehlag. All right. Kayla G. Um, Kayla, absolutely fantastic time. Thank you. Thank you for coming through. Sorry that you went through what you had to go through in May, but so glad that you did so that we can be here now and have
Yes.
this conversation and I look at this and I see you and this like this just dropped in for me. I'm like, oh, in 20 years, we're still gonna be running together. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where I feel like you've set the foundation for something that can continue to grow. It puts tears in my eyes a bit here, where I'm like, oh, this is a real player who's gonna keep playing the game, however that looks like for you. I see you, I respect you, and I'm grateful for you for the way that you show up and for what you brought to us here today. Thank you for being you.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for watching and listening. It's been so great to deliver and share this.